For decades now, Cuba has been caught in this complex web of politics and economic sanctions. But what does that actually mean for the people who live there day in and day out? Well, today we're going to get into the real human side of these long-standing policies, how they affect everything from what's for dinner to just getting to work. All right, let's jump right in. So I want you to just picture this. Your whole city, just pitch dark. And this isn't some rare one-off thing. It's the everyday reality in Alamar, a city just east of Havana. This is the scene. A whole community silenced and in the dark from yet another blackout. It's a constant draining part of life there.
And right in the middle of all that darkness, we meet a man named Tato Mesa. He's not going to let a blackout stop him from making dinner. But look, he's not using a gas stove or anything electric. He's using charcoal. It's really the only reliable thing he's got. And his story, it's like a window into this much, much bigger crisis.
Now get this. The reason he's using charcoal, his entire neighborhood hasn't had any cooking gas for 6 months. 6 months. Just let that sink in for a second. So if you can even afford it, you have to go buy these small, pricey bags of charcoal. Sometimes you need 3 of them just to cook a simple meal of rice and beans. So how did we get here, right? To understand the charcoal stoves and the endless blackouts, you really have to rewind the clock. We've got to look back at more than 60 years of history between Cuba and the United States. The whole thing really kicks off deep in the Cold War. You have the failed Bay of Pigs invasion in '61, and right after that, in '62, the U.S. hits Cuba with a huge economic embargo. Now fast forward to 2016, and there was this brief moment of hope with President Obama's visit. But today, you could argue things are even worse, with sanctions tightened to include a nearly complete blockade on fuel. And here's the bottom line. All these policies have had a massive effect. Cuba's state-run economy, which was already having a tough time, has basically been in a free fall for years now. Those decades of sanctions, especially the recent fuel blockade, have just pushed it right to the edge.
So let's connect the dots. How does all that high-level politics translate into the daily grind for regular Cubans? This is where you see how these policies really hit home, messing with the most basic parts of life. This quote from Joel, a construction worker, honestly, it just says it all. The fuel shortages have brought the country's transportation to a crawl. And his frustration, you better believe it, it's shared by millions. People are spending hours every single day just trying to get around. Your productivity, your family time, your energy, it's all just gone, spent waiting. And this table here, it shows you exactly why Joel is waiting so long. See, the big public buses, the ones that are supposed to be the backbone of the whole system, they just don't have gas to run. So what happens? Everybody has to cram onto these tiny Gazella buses, which only fit like 12 people. You can just imagine the lines. And it's not just about getting around. The energy crisis creates this frantic cycle at home, too. When the power finally kicks back on, usually late at night, it's not time to relax. No, it's a dead sprint. People rush to turn on water pumps to fill their tanks, then they race to get laundry done, all before the power inevitably cuts out again. But it wasn't always this bad. And it's really important to remember that there was a moment, not too long ago, when the future looked completely different. There was this brief but really important thaw in relations. I mean, just about 10 years ago, this happened. President Obama actually went to Cuba. He ate at a private restaurant with his family, he spoke directly to the Cuban people, and he told them that they had no reason to fear the United States. For millions of people, that visit was this incredible symbol of change, of hope. The difference between then and now, it's just staggering. Back in 2016, you could feel the optimism in the air. Today, that's all been replaced by this deep sense of crisis. The source material puts it perfectly. Right now, Cuba is living its darkest hour. And that brings us to today, a moment that's just filled with uncertainty, defined by all these shortages, and a future that, well, no one knows how to write. And that, right there, is maybe the most sobering part of all this. You see, Cuba has been through crises before, but this time, it just feels different. There's a sense that the old answers aren't going to work. And like the quote says, this time, nobody knows how it's all going to end.
It's the question that's just hanging over the entire island.
For people like Tato cooking with charcoal and Joel waiting for that bus, the answer to that question changes everything about their daily lives. And for the rest of us, it's a powerful reminder of how policies from decades ago are still shaping millions of lives right now. So what do you think? How does the story end?